TED and PRX's podcast, How to Be a Better Human, is not your typical self-help improvement podcast. Each week, there are conversations with guests who offer actionable insights on how you can be a better version of yourself. It is now in its second season, critically acclaimed. It is hosted by comedian and writer Chris Duffy, sharing unexpected ways for how you can become a better person from the comforts of your headphones. Listen in.
This show's called How to Be a Better Human. What is one thing that you are currently working on to be a better human yourself?
One thing I'm doing to be a better human is pruning away all the non-essentials in my life so that I can give better energy and attention to the things I care about most.
Joining us now is the host of the podcast, Chris Duffy. Chris, it is great to have you here. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me.
So throughout this pandemic, I feel like this was a big moment for people to ask themselves some pretty big questions. What was the inspiration for this podcast for you?
Yeah, I think it's exactly like you said. I mean, over the past few years, I think we've all been reevaluating what's important to us. How do we build a world that is just and that we want to live in, but also how do we look at our own lives and think like, what can I change and improve and how can I contribute to being a better person overall? So that's where the heart of the show came from.
So you're in a very successful second season. So after the first one, is the second one, did you have different goals for it?
Yeah, you know, the first season, I think we were still figuring this out of like, is this gonna work? And it's amazing that people have actually listened and tuned in. And so now we're trying to really challenge the assumptions, I think, especially my assumptions of like, what does it look like to be a better human? How do you actually make it be a practical tip that people can use and work on? And then, you know, just on the technical level, I used to be recording in a little like blanket fort we made. Yeah. And now that we've had some success, I have an actual like little recording booth now.
Wow, that's fancy.
Oh, I moved on up.
Coming up in the world.
I really moved up in the world.
So you had a conversation with musician Greta Morgan, and we just heard in that clip, and you know, she was diagnosed with a condition that affects her voice, and she's not been able to sing in the way that she was, and essentially that is her career. So what did you learn in your conversation with her about resilience?
Yeah, you know, I think the conversation that I had with Greta Morgan is one of the best episodes that we've done, really, because she just talked about how she had this identity that was so built around being a musician, a performer, and then all of a sudden everything changed. This unexpected medical condition happened. And I think whether it is something as dramatic as that or something smaller or something that is bigger, kind of everyone in the last few years has dealt with the world that you thought you were living in, the path that you thought you were on has changed. And so I think Greta just talked a lot about the grace of giving yourself permission to change and evolve.
So what have you learned from Greta, from other guests as well, about roughly what you were just talking about, which is embracing ambiguity?
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things that I've taken away from everyone that we've talked to is you often think of like people who give advice, especially about a topic like how to be a better human, that it would be
insufferable.
Like insufferable. Oh my gosh, that was my biggest fear with the show. Is I was like, you're going to call it How to Be a Better Human. We better make sure that it is not like me saying that I know how it, because I certainly don't. But I think you would think that people would be like, here's my successes, and you can learn the most from all the things that I've done right.
Yeah.
And instead, I think really the biggest thing that I've taken away is that all of these people are still figuring it out, that it's still a work in process, and that being not knowing is normal, but that's also a crucial part of improving. Because it's not like you never get to this fixed state where you're like, and now I'm a better human. Checkbox, great. I will stop trying to improve as a human.
Yeah, because actually what happens after that, like being a better dolphin, like it's what's next on the list. What do you hope that your listeners take away from the podcast?
I hope that people take away that like, it's hard. It's hard to be a better person. It's okay for it to be hard.
How has the experience changed you or your perspective?
I think one of the biggest things that it's changed in my perspective is that the idea that like I kind of had in the back of my head, like yeah, you can't be a good person, but like you can be the good person. You can reach that point. So I try with people with me to be like, yes, you will see that I am constantly failing and hyperventilating and being like, is this right? Am I doing a good job? Oh no, I messed it up. So I try to be open about that because I think that that is the more interesting part to me of this process.
Fantastic concept. Congratulations on your success. I think the point is that it's resonating with so many people for a big reason. Chris, with us there. You can listen, of course, to the latest episodes of How to Be a Better Human on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.